Welcome back to the podcast. Today we are talking about saying no with love.
So yes, welcome back to the Shift Happens podcast about navigating the lighter side of life's challenges.
I'm Robin McIntire, certified life and transitions coach.
And I'm Monique Eckes, a question asker, acting as one of the audience, probably you.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so saying no with love.
Yes. Right? It's so different than just trying to get out of doing something.
Okay.
It really, really is. This is something that I've gotten much, much better at.
Okay.
It hasn't been easy because being a people pleaser that I've always been, people are used to you being a certain way. So if this is something that you've been doing is saying yes, 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 and then behind the scenes you're saying you're either angry, resentful,
Yes.
or beating yourself up because you're like, why can't I get this schedule under control? Saying no with love is just, it's a way of reframing saying no for me personally.
Yeah.
It's like I can do this and I can do it nicely.
The boundaries.
The boundaries.
You know,
it's a boundary.
It can be a touchy subject for people.
Very.
You know, you can get pushback from it. You're not quite sure how to do it. But I think there's so many benefits. We wrote down a whole bunch of different benefits of saying no with love. And don't worry, we'll tell you how to do this in a practical sense too. But for, you know, when we just say boundaries, I like saying no with love.
Saying no with love. And here's what else it comes down to. We're going to use another power of the and in here.
Yes.
When you think of boundaries, and this is, this is going to obviously be for people we love even.
Oh, wow.
Maybe even harder than people we don't know.
Good point.
Boundaries with love, with people we love, here's how simple it can be. I love you and I love me.
Oh.
I mean, really, if you think of it that simply, why don't we give ourselves as much say or love as we would give to somebody else?
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a better way to be honest, and it's in the benefits. It keeps us from blaming the other person.
Yeah.
So if we're asked to do something, and we know it's a fast no, those are a little stronger for us, so we need to really get good at it because then the stronger our no feels, if we say yes, the stronger the resentment's going to be.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, so benefits of saying no with love.
One of the first ones is, and this just is so important because, again, as a people pleaser, I never ever thought like this.
Oh, okay.
But our worthiness, for us to think that we have just as much right to have a say in where our time goes, what we say yes or no to, all of it. It is all about really knowing what we want and giving ourselves permission to say we are worthy to have an opinion and a say.
Yeah. Yeah. And for maybe you listening, sometimes you don't feel that. You have to say yes to everything, and that people-pleasing piece comes in, or you just feel so obligated to everyone, and you're saying, hey, I'm worth it. Mm-hmm. You know,
it's not against that person.
Yeah, I'm asking what I want and what I need, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's so important for, you know, if we were raised being the quiet one and just making sure we just keep the peace.
Yeah.
I mean, there's truly times now where if someone says, hey, where do you want to go eat? I literally can say, it's up to you, I'm good.
Okay.
Because I like the adventure and not have to. There's times where not being in control is just really freeing for me. But there were so many times, all through my life where I would just say, yeah, whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want.
Oh,
And I would even deny to myself that mattered once they did decide.
Yeah. Right? You can kind of tell right away.
Yeah.
When it's like, whatever you want. Oh, great, you want sushi? And you're like, oh, no.
Oh, yeah, I should have said anything but sushi. Sushi.
I should have, as an example, I love sushi.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm worthy. That's a great benefit.
It's a great one.
Reminding yourself of that. I deserve this.
Yes.
The option to say yes or no.
Option to say yes or no.
Okay.
And it's just a great practice.
Yeah.
It's such a great practice. And I mean, just to reiterate too, it's not against the person.
Oh, yes. Okay.
We are not, it's not a pushing against energy.
Okay.
at all.
Right.
It's more of just, you're important and I'm important. So give me a minute.
Yeah.
Take a pause. Take a pause to really ask, is this okay or not?
Yeah.
I've been on the other side of this, where this is a hard confession, but I've gotten to where I was in a relationship years ago with someone very close to me, and I was so mad at myself because I always said yes. I just said yes, and believe me, I was her favorite human being.
She'll do.
So she said anyway.
Yeah.
And I was very close to her. She meant a lot to me, but it took me years to figure out it was not her fault.
Oh.
That I always felt like my life was not my own.
Oh. Yes.
Right?
Okay, so separating those things. You're right. It's so important.
Yeah. And it's not against them. And I mean, it was a huge compliment to me that my mother-in-law wanted to be with me as much as she did. And she loved my kids and all the things. But, but I just didn't, I was very codependent without even knowing it.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a different podcast.
Right. It was not her fault that I was that frustrated.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have the tools.
And you're right, though. It is easy to say, well, they should just know how busy I am.
Yes.
Like, no, that's our responsibility.
Yes.
You know, so it's okay.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the benefits. We have a few more.
Yeah, lots of benefits. Honesty is kindness. When we're honest with people about what we do and don't want to do, first of all, let's just think about this. Monique, I invite you over to sit on the patio. You know, on a Friday night, and you say yes, and it's okay, but it's maybe not, you know, like you said, that's nice once a quarter. And I think, well, Monique had a great time, and I start asking you every Friday.
Oh,
If you don't say no, you're coming, but then maybe you're telling your friend or your sister, I don't know how to tell Robin.
Oh my gosh.
Right? It's just kinder to say, you know what, I enjoyed it. I'd love if you want to come back. I enjoyed it, but you know, I could see us doing it every once in a while, but my schedule stays pretty busy, however that downloads. But but it's much kinder to not mislead people by saying yes.
Yeah. For me, one thing that really opened my eyes, this is probably 25 years ago now, is one of the benefits is no's open up chances for yeses. Oh my gosh.
And you said it in our last podcast too.
Yes. Yeah, letting go of things so I can have something else in that place. Because I am a person who does a lot of volunteer work. And you know, when my kids were little, I was even doing volunteer work then for many different things. And it was so easy to want to do more and more of that and say yes to everything. And I finally just thought, I'm doing this, I can't remember what I was doing at the time, but I was volunteering on the board for something. And I wasn't liking it anymore. And then some other opportunity came up and I couldn't say yes because I was doing this other thing I didn't like anymore.
Yeah.
So as soon as I realized I can say no to that, and that would open up to even better yeses for me. Oh,
that's such a great example
so
too,
freeing.
because the new place that you said that you finally got to say yes to, they were getting a different Monique because you were excited also.
Yeah.
Than the people that you would show up, and I'm sure you were still helpful.
Yeah.
But somewhere in your body you didn't want to be there, and so what you bring to the table is different as well.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I just love that. I mean, we don't have endless time.
No.
And energy and resources,
Right.
So I love this, and I love also the separation of the person versus the ask.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, not making it about the person. It's not, I like to say too, it's not against you, it's for me.
Okay.
And that still sounds a little self-serving, but it gets the point across.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not against you, it's just me being really honest about what's a fit and what is not.
Yeah. Yeah. You said keeps us out of resentment.
Yeah.
That whole people pleaser thing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Keeping out of resentment is so big.
Yeah.
I check in with myself a lot because it just is a human nature. If we say yes to things that we don't want to, we're gonna put blame on that person. We just are.
Yeah.
And whether it's conscious or subconscious, we're gonna have some kind of rub with the person that we said yes to.
Yeah.
When we didn't want to.
And actually, we've practiced this. So we've had times where we were going to meet in person, and then we're like, hey, can we just make this a Zoom or a phone call?
For her coaching call.
Yeah, for coaching calls or meetings for the podcast even.
Yeah, true. Yep.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times when we really wanted to meet in person, but we both said, you know what, I've got to set a boundary here, and because it takes us a while to drive to meet each other.
Yeah, and plus we could get carried away chatting.
And what? Us? But we switched it up, and we knew it wasn't something to do with us.
Yeah.
We knew it was just the task, the ask.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So we've employed that before too.
We have.
And it's just better. The more you do it, the more you realize, oh, okay, I can do this.
And the other person a lot of times does appreciate it.
For sure. Yes.
Let's go into the honesty is kind thing, right? When I've had people, when I ask someone, especially if I want help with something, it takes a lot to ask in the first place. So I probably go overboard, even with these skills that I've learned. I probably go overboard saying to them, please, if this does not work for you, just please tell me, like I want them to say no if they want to say no.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I've gotten better at saying no myself on the opposite story, because if somebody's going to help me, I want it to be from their heart.
Yeah.
And I do think sometimes people want to be asked.
Oh.
That's a whole nother side of it, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
If we don't ask, that's joy that we took from them maybe.
Right? Yeah. Oh, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's such another podcast. Don't take my joy away.
Oh my gosh.
Let me do this for you.
I don't want to bring it down a little bit, but I have to say too, especially for the people pleasers out there, and if you're feeling like a little bit of a doormat, because I've definitely had those times in my life.
Me too.
I think that if you run across someone who does not like your boundaries, those are the people who always intended to break them.
Yeah. I love the way you just said that. Because it's kind of like if you are honest, when you get good at being honest about your boundaries, the people that care about you will support it.
Yes.
They will support you. Yeah. I know I say all the time, if I ask somebody that said, I'm sorry, Robin, but I've got this deadline and I promised my boss or myself or whoever you promised, I don't want to mess that up for somebody.
Right.
So I'm giving them kudos for sticking to their guns. I've had a lot of people since I changed my work hours super great about it. They're like, I know, Robin, you're being the CEO.
That's right.
And it's so hard. Especially when you want to go do something with somebody and it still needs to be a no. We need to get good at being honest about that.
Oh my gosh, because I didn't even think about, like, I've been self-employed for so long. I don't think of things you run into at work. But bosses can have you do a billion things that you don't have time for.
Yeah.
So this would be a great place maybe for a boundary too, and say, okay, well, I have to finish this project first, or do you want me to switch and make this a priority? I can't do both.
That would be a great place to bring that in, and probably the scarier place.
I would think
if you're talking to your boss,
right?
but
so
same thing. Instead of just
been the yes person.
Yeah, instead of letting them just weigh you down more, and you're working later and later. Again, resentment builds, and then maybe someday you want to quit because of it. Where that could be a solution to keep the job the way you want it.
And if I was a boss, I'd be like, oh, actually, this other project is priority.
Yeah.
We can drop that one for now or something. So I think there's a way that you can work this into work as well.
I did have an example of when I used to do nails.
Yeah.
And the gal sitting in my chair, my customer, my client, her name was Connie, and she was a psychologist. And normally I would never take calls while I was working, but for whatever reason, this day I did take a call from my mother-in-law, and I got off the phone and I looked at Connie and I said, why do I say yes when I don't even know if I want to say yes yet? And she just said, well, here's what you do. She says, when someone asks you off the cuff or on a phone call or just takes you off guard and says, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z for me? Or can you go here, go there, whatever. Don't just get in the habit, here's the habit word, get in the habit of saying, hey, let me get back to you on that. When do you need to know?
Love it.
Right? It gives you time. It gives you time to downshift it and say, do I want to, do I not want to do it? Because there's been other instances on the other side of that where I got so used to feeling defensive about my time that my first answer was, I don't think so. So it can go that way too. And I catch myself a lot now where I'm thinking, that first thought is, I got too much going on. And then I went, wait a minute. This could work. Especially because a lot of those times are things you really do want to do, but Either the timing's off, or maybe that's you felt a little taken advantage of, or something. But I really do. I like to pause. I like to catch it in the moment and say, wait a minute, are you being judgy? Are you being too quick to answer this? Is there a way to make it work? And it's real. I think that's fun.
I love that advice too, because we often feel like on the spot we have to answer right now.
Yeah.
But I think people really know you're invested in the yes when you do give them time. Like say, oh, can I get back to you after work?
Yeah.
You know, in that instance, right? They're like, oh, they're really giving this real thought. You know? So I think people feel like your yes is more genuine when you could take that pause.
Yeah,
right?
that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point, because if someone says that to me, can I get back to him? Like, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. It's just, of course.
Oh my God.
I'm grateful you're going to kick it around and think about it.
Everything's more genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Oh gosh.
So good.
So now's a good time for the sponsor bit before we get to some action steps and the one-liner. So as the sponsor, thank you, Robin. What do you have for the audience for you today?
This could be a really great topic to use my Spark Plus session for. It's a 90-minute session. The first session is 90 minutes, second one 30 to 45 minutes. And what this could be, let's just use boundaries as an example, because this is a real true thing for people.
Oof, for sure.
Whether it's family, work, any kind of relationship stuff, and it can be actually anything.
Yeah,
if you have
true.
anything tripping you up, the Spark Session Plus is a great way to dig into it. So it's 20% off. If you say, if you go to the show notes and follow the link, that's what you need to do for the 20%. But this is 90 minutes together where I will ask you some questions, hear your story, and we'll together come up with a plan for you of what you agree that you want to work on. And then we'll check back 2 weeks later, 30 to 45 minute call, and that's where we're going to see what's working, what's not, and tweak something if it needs to be, and we'll go from there.
Love it so much.
It is good.
Oh my gosh. So essentially you get 2 meetings, a total of like 2 hours with Robin. You will definitely get so much value out of that. So great. Oh my gosh, thank you. I love your one-liners.
Yes.
What do you got for us to tie in a one-liner?
So I'm going to tell the quick story about this. I was telling Monique, okay, I know it's like if you don't stand for something, you're flailing around, or that's not right, but it's something like that. And she came up with it. So it's, and you will probably know this one, but if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah.
And I love that because it just brings home that if we don't stand for ourselves and know what we want to do with our time and our energy, someone else is going to come in and snag it up.
Yep. And I got that from a country song.
Yeah, okay. I knew you'd know it. I knew I should have known it.
Love that.
I had half of it.
So if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yes.
I love that. So some action steps. Here we're saying how hard this can be for people pleasers, or if you're really new at this. You did give one from your nail client, so that's awesome.
Take a minute.
Take a minute. Let me get back to you.
Yep.
Okay, there's a couple other things.
Yeah, sometimes in a Facebook event, you'll get notified that you've been invited to an event, and some of them are personal. Some of them I know are just for the whole world to come to, but I'm talking on a more personal note. One of the things that makes it really easy if you know that you don't want to go is remember gratitude. A gracious no thank you is, thank you so much for thinking of me. I'll be there in spirit. I know you'll have a great time. So you're saying I'm not coming, but you're not saying outright. You're thanking them for thinking of you, and you're also telling them, I know whatever you're doing is going to be great. So
feels good.
That always, and I feel good when I do that because I'm not making up excuses. It's not. Now, if I have somewhere to go and an invite comes across and it's from someone, it feels intimate, even if it's an acquaintance, but it feels somewhat intimate, like, yes, I really am being invited on purpose. If I will be out of town, or if I do like to say thank you so much. I would have loved to have been there, but I'm going to be out of town. Have a wonderful time. Thank you for thinking of me. I love doing that. One of the things I never do is, please ask me next time if I don't mean it. You will not see that from me if I don't mean it.
Yeah, that's true, because I will add that when the one's like, oh my gosh, I would really love to be that. Please keep me in mind for the next one.
Absolutely. Yep. Same.
But you're right. If I don't want to be invited again, have fun.
Yeah. Or volunteering, same thing.
Oh,
can you come help? Not this time, but if you want to try me next time and you have no intention, that's just integrity stuff.
That's true.
That's integrity stuff. Yeah. So our whole thing is we want to sleep at night, we want to feel good, we want to be kind. So
and we want to answer them and not ghost them.
Right.
And, there's that whole
keep it as simple as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of the last one we had where Monique was saying this feels kind of advanced. If this is new to you and you just like saying no, it just takes everything you have, this won't be for you. But I do sometimes say, thank you so much for thinking of me. It's not a fit.
That's a full sentence, and it's okay.
It's not a fit for me.
It's not a fit for me, or
yeah.
And don't add at this time if you don't mean it.
Right.
Exactly.
Again,
what you're just
keep
saying.
it really honest.
Yeah. And this is really easy to do in an email.
Yeah.
If you get an email or a message, thanks again for thinking of me, but it's just really not a good fit. Oh, I was going to mention too, I get a lot of invitations to sponsor things as a business.
Oh, yes.
As a photographer, people will reach out to me to sponsor the high school football team with a poster on the fence. I'm like, this doesn't work for pet photography at all. It's just not a good fit.
Yeah.
I wish you luck.
Yeah.
That's it, and leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope those are good action steps for you. I think they are.
Yeah. I hope you'll practice because, again, just always bring it back to, wait a minute, I matter too.
Yeah.
It's not we matter more, but we matter too.
That's right.
And we want to believe that everyone we care about is taking care of their boundaries as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we may as well be an example.
Yeah. There you go.
That's
set
what I
the
figured.
example, the boundary example.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just always just set boundaries with love.
I think so. Yes. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today. Remember, shift happens.
Shift happens.
Yeah.
All the time shift
Yes.
happens.
But Robin's here for you.
I'm here for you.
And we have so many resources for you down in the show notes, in the
website.
in the website, and on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
What is the website?
Website, robinmcintire.com. It's all eyes. My name is spelled with all eyes, ROBINMCINTIRE. I'm still looking for someone to do a jingle for me.
know.
Yeah, wouldn't that be fun?